So today when we are working with our lessons 10.2, we're going to be doing the frequency tables and the histograms. Okay, so they gave us the ages of people visiting a water park during a certain time period at some water park. And so we have our list of data, which all of those represent years of age. Okay, so we have a 5-year-old, a 12-year-old, 22-year-old, etc. Okay. When you are going to create a frequency table and or a histogram, it doesn't matter which one, you have to have what we call intervals. So in other words, you're going to categorize, you're going to accumulate how many there were of them into intervals, and those intervals have to be equal. Now, I'm not really fond of the way they did this one. I do it a little bit differently because I say if 34 minus 5 is 29, that means there's a range of 29, but we can include, there's numbers at both ends, and one of those numbers at the other end is not 1 or 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to add 1 to that. So what I would do to this is I would say, okay, we really have 29, and we can add 1 to that, and we get 30. And then now you decide how wide do you want your intervals to be. So that's what they're doing here. They're saying if the width of the interval is 10, then I would do it like this, 30 divided by 10, and I would say that's 3. Well, that means there's only going to be 3 intervals. That's too few. You want to have more than 3. Okay? So then 4 does not go in, 5 does, 3 does. So then they said if the width of the interval is 3, then we would have 30 divided by 3. Well, that's 10 intervals. That's probably too many. So then they went with 5 and they said, okay, let's divide by 5. 30 divided by 5 would be 6. That seems like a good number. Or maybe they could have done 30 divided by 6 and gotten 5. Let's see what you're still in. 30 divided by 6 and gotten 5 intervals. Okay? So then you have to decide what are the intervals going to be. How many intervals are there going to be? Well, they decided there are going to be 6 of them. Well, if there's 6 of them, then we have to have the ages, the lowest age, and 6 ages beyond, or 5 more ages beyond that. So 5, age 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. There's going to be 5 data values in it because they divided by 5. Okay, so 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. The next interval has to start at 10 then, age 10. So then 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And so what's happening in the frequency table then is we're deciding, okay, how many of these numbers actually fall in those intervals. So you're going to want to put these in order, just like we did in the stem and leaf plot. You're going to order them, and then you'll be able to pick out how many there are a lot easier. Okay? Well, that's all the frequency table shows is how many fall in that interval. How many of the data values fall in that interval. But once you make a frequency table, that makes it really easy to make a histogram. Because the histogram shows, notice there's no spaces between the bars. Because there's no ages left out. So from 5 to 9 is an interval. The next bar starts at 10 to 14 because there's no ages left out of here. So they butt up against each other is what I'm saying. On a bar graph, do the bars butt up against each other? No, they don't. But in a histogram, they will, because it's like a continuous set of data, a continuous set of ages. There's no gaps in it. Matt.
So how did we get those age or those?
Frequency?
Yeah.
Those
Yeah, I don't
frequencies.
get that either.
Oh, okay. Well, we didn't put them in order. Okay, so if we ordered these, okay, what would be the first one in the list? 5, right? What would be the next one?
34.
No, just ordering them.
Oh.
From least to greatest?
Yep.
15.
Oh.
Or 7.
7 would be the next one. Okay, so 5, 7. What's the next one? 9. The next one.
12.
Okay, do we have more than one 12?
12. We have
1,
3.
2, 3 of them, so we have 3 12s.
15.
15.
2 15s.
2 15s.
17.
No,
No,
we got a 13 in there.
Oh, we got a 13 in there. Okay, so we're going to change this 15 to a 13.
And then the 15.
And then we have 2 15s, okay.
17.
Okay, Okay, I'm gonna have to
18.
move down here. And then 17 next,
Yeah.
and 18,
25.
No, 22.
Oh yeah, 22.
22 next, okay.
25.
25 next.
32 and then
30,
35. 34. Sorry, 5.
32 to 34, okay. Okay, so now, once they're in order, we can say, from the first interval, it's all the ages 5 through 9. So we have these 3, right? So there's 3 of them. Okay, the next interval, 10 to 14. Well, we don't have any 10 or 11-year-olds, but all of these fall in that interval, do they not?
Yeah, okay, so then like, for what, that top section where it says like 30 divided by 10 right there, where did we, how did we get the 30? Like,
Oh, remember what okay, I'm sorry, I might have kind of skipped over that. You take the smallest number,
yeah,
the largest number in the data set, they did a subtraction problem to get the range, and then I said we're gonna add 1 because really those numbers at both ends should be represented.
do we always add 1?
Yeah, it's like when we do homework, remember how I oftentimes say, how many problems do you have? I'll say, you have to do problems 5 through 15. And you say, oh, we have 10 problems to do. And then you count and you find out you have 11. Because 5 has to get counted and 15 has to be counted. So in reality, what happens, let's just do it. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's your 10 problems. 15. You have to add 1. So if it doesn't start, so if I said to you, you have to do 1 through 10, then you could say you have 10 problems to do because it starts at 1 and 1 was in the subtract, I don't really know how to explain that correctly, but it does it.
How do we like determine what ages we put in?
Okay, so then that's what they're doing, you mean in this right here, in this part?
Those.
Okay, that's the part that we have to have equal intervals, okay? So here, that's what this is called finding the interval. Okay, so we want to know how wide should the interval be, but in the process of finding out how wide it should be, we also want to figure out how many would there be. We don't want too few, we don't want too many, we want a nice number of intervals to spread the data out a little bit.
What's the boundaries for too many and too few?
So what they did is they said, if the width of the interval is 10, in other words, 10 ages would be represented in it, then how many intervals would you have? Well, 30 divided by 10, we'd only have 3 intervals. So then we would say, oh, if the width of the interval had been 10, then it would have started at age 5, and it would have gone through age what?
15.
No, 14. It would have gone through age 14. And then that would have been all of these would have fallen in one interval. We would only have that bar. Then the next one, the next age would have started at 15, and it would have gone through 10 ages represented in it, 15 through 24. So then the next one would have had these guys and that. There would have been our second bar. And then the last interval would have been from age 25 through 34, and that would have been the last bar. We would only have 3 bars on our graph. Instead of how many do we have? 6. So we're trying to make a good decision about making a good graph that represents the data a little bit better. It's subjective. It's subjective, meaning you get to decide how many intervals there are going to be. But I'm going to sometimes help you make that decision, okay? Because since you don't really know how to, make it well by yourself yet, maybe. Okay, let's just go practice one, then we'll see how this works, okay? So here's our data set. We have that table of numbers, which is the estimated miles per gallon for some selected cars. We don't know which cars, but use the data to make a frequency table with intervals, then make a histogram. Okay, what do you suppose is the first thing we're going to do? We're going to put them in order, and this is one fairly good-sized list, okay?
15.
So, why don't you go ahead and start putting them in order? Do you have room? You don't really have
Going
room
this way.
there. Where are you going to go?
Do we have to do them least to greatest? I don't.
Yes.
Least.
No, do them least. Well, you can do it that way, but then you're going to have to work backwards because in our frequency table, we always start with the least, and in the histogram, we always start with the least.
I always go down and look for ones that have 1 to get there.
So what is the smallest number, anybody just yell it yet?
15.
15? Okay. Start with 15. By the way, there are 5 times 7, there's 35 of them, and they're gonna be in our list when we're done. Take your time with this. This is a good time to have an eraser on your pencil.
How many should we have?
35. Are there 326?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thanks.
Is it?
I'd already crossed them off there.
There are. What is she want from?
Up in the corner, up
Oh,
on the fourth
yeah,
column, and then
yeah,
up on the top again. There's only 227s though, right? Yeah, 227.
There's to be 35 values, because we got a 5 by 7 table, 5 times 7 is 35.
This should just be a number.
Two 30s. Am I right? I think there's 3. There's 3.
I found 2.
Yeah, I've got 2.
No, wait. No, yeah, I found 2.
Okay.
Three 32.
Yeah, there is 3 now.
3 32s? Yeah, 32s are ours, yeah, 30 is the one
I'll have to grab it.
How many 33s is this?
I'm missing one.
Yeah.
I have all of mine. I know.
Okay, then Gus, if you have all yours, will you check mine and see where I'm missing for me, please? Missing 31. 31, you're right, number 31.
That's what flip
Okay. Well, now the next thing we have to do is we have to decide the width of our intervals. It has to be equal. So, next thing we do is we have to decide what is, do you have anywhere to work here? Why don't you do it, yeah, either below the graph. I have room here, but you probably don't. But what is the smallest number?
15.
15. So the smallest is 15. And the largest is
44.
44. So we do a subtraction problem to find the range. So 44 take away 15. What is that?
11.
What?
No, it's
No,
29.
29.
29.
We got it.
Okay, but then we also have to add 1 to that, right?
30.
And we get 30.
Okay, but my question is, where did they get the 10 from? Up top? Did they just pull it out of nowhere? Or we just
Yeah, we just numbers that go into that number, like 30. So we've got numbers that go in evenly to 30.
Oh, okay, that's what I didn't know.
Okay. So 2 goes in evenly, that's too few, right?
Yeah.
2 goes into 30, that'd be 15. Or too many, I mean 15 intervals. Do we want 15 intervals?
No.
No. 3 goes in 10 times. That's too many intervals. 5 goes in 6 times. Well, you know what? Look at here.
They have us at
1, 2,
6.
3, 4, 5, 6. How about we do 6, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do 30 divided by 5, and we get 6, these are intervals, you guys, okay? So we have 6 intervals, and the number we divide it by is, should be how many of those miles per gallon are represented in. So we start at 15, okay? So we start at 15, and we only want 5 in there, so 15, 16,
20.
17, 18, 19.
19, or yeah.
15, 16, remember the subtract and add 1 thing?
Yeah.
So 19 take away 15 is 4, add 1 is 5. So it goes to 19, okay?
Somebody's birthday, apparently.
Okay. So the next interval would start at 20 and go to
24.
24. So think of it like this, you're really just adding 4 every time, okay? And the next one starts at 25 and goes to
Actually,
29.
29.
Someone 8.
And the next one starts at 30 and goes to
34.
34. The next one starts at 35 and goes to 39. And the last one starts at 40 and goes to 44. And is that our largest number, 44?
Yeah.
Awesome, we did it. Okay. Now, what do we do?
Count how many go in each one.
Count how many go into each one. So you go in your list and you say, I need all the ones from 15 through 19. There are, how many? 5. I need all the ones from 20 through 24.
8.
I agree, 8. Need all the ones from 25 through 29. 12. So that's going to be those guys up through this one. Okay, so I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then we need from 30 through 34.
7.
Yeah, 7.
Is this the 33 here?
Yeah, that should be
Oh, and then I got this guy down here too, don't I? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yep.
Okay.
And then 1. Oh, 2.
And then 35 to 39, we got these two. And we only have 1 in the last interval, right? Now, before you move on and make your histogram, here's what you should do. What do you suppose you should do? Then you tell me.
Add
Add that table up and make sure it adds up to
I just did
35.
that.
35. Okay, so 5 plus 8,
13.
13. Plus 12,
25.
25. 25 plus 7. Oh, wait a minute. Stop right there. Let's make this easier. 25, hold that thought. 7 plus 2 plus 1.
3. 10.
10. 10 plus 25.
5.
35, we're good, we got it. Okay, now what we have to do is we have to make our histogram. And notice, did I put anything there? I did not. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make, would you just put this little note? Make each interval, because I've already done the math for you and to show how wide can you make them so that they'll all fit on this graph. You're gonna make each interval 8 millimeters wide. I'll
show you how we actually do that.
And I'm giving you these rulers because there are,
Josh got one already.
Okay. because the orange ones, the things are off one. Okay, millimeters are a metric system, right? So you can find the metric side of the ruler. Millimeters are the little marks between the numbers, so it does not matter where you go, but somewhere between 2 centimeters, whether you use between 8 and 9, and you go over 8 marks. There's 10 millimeters in a centimeter, so you're gonna go to 8, we're not doing a whole centimeter. So here's what I want you to do first though. Okay, the first one, we need 5 of them. So I want you to take your ruler, and I'm gonna have to use just this. I want you to take your ruler and I want you to start at 5, and don't be all the way over to the y-axis, and I want you to draw the side of your first bar. And we're not going to do the top of it yet, because we gotta measure 8 millimeters. So now here's where you're gonna take your ruler and you're gonna measure 8 millimeters. You can do it down here, or you can do it up on the 5 line, it doesn't matter. But you need to make 8 millimeters. And I'm not gonna be exact because
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm on the smart board and it's a lot harder on here.
I did it without the 8 millimeters in my head.
Do you want a cookie or something?
No, but here's the deal. The intervals have to be what?
Even.
Equal widths. Equal width. So they all have to be one as wide as the other. You can't have skinnier ones than the other, you would have a misleading graph. So you need to make it so that, that's why I picked a width for
Can I
us.
have that ruler?
That's why I picked
There's
a width
nothing even
for us.
on this ruler.
Of course there isn't, that's why I test these out. Okay, and then once you have that one, now you can lightly shape it to, to make it look so that it stands out better, okay? So there's the interval for the 15 to 19 miles per gallon. Now, you're gonna use, there's gonna be no gaps in this. So you're gonna use the side of that bar to start your next one, and this one needs to go up to 8. So now you will take your side and you will extend it up to 8. You will measure across another 8 millimeters. So it has to be, this next one has to be 8 millimeters wide also. They have to be equal width. Ryan, there should be no space between these bars, they're back to back. Back to back bars, histogram, you're making a bar graph, not a histogram right now.
I seriously made mine 8 without knowing,
Isn't that something?
except the very last one was 7.
Okay? Now, it might be worth taking the time right now to take your pencil and write down here that this interval, and you probably are gonna have to, you can probably do it horizontally, you're probably gonna have to kind of do it at an angle, right? That this first one is the 15 to 19, underneath it, mine got up into it, I didn't mean for it to.
Mine just did too.
So you guys can erase, I can erase, I'm gonna make a little one here. Okay, so let's go back and I'll try to do it. This is so hard. Okay, 15 to 19, the next one is the 20, because your graph has to show this, they have to be able to read it, 20 to 24. Okay, and now keep making the rest of your bars. again, it is really important that you get your intervals numbered underneath them. So they have to be underneath to make sure that the reader can tell what that interval is representing, how many miles per gallon is it representing.
Bless you.
I do not know why this one will not let me make my last bar. What its issue is here, but it will not do it. Okay, try one more time. No. It just does not like it. Okay, well, you should have a last bar here, and then you can be shading them in, make sure the intervals are numbered underneath, and you have your histogram.